Well, to speak more about this, I'm joined in the studio by the Vice President of Iraq, Tariq Al Hashemi. Welcome, Vice President.
Thank you very much, Steve.
And nice to see you again.
You're most welcome.
Now, the Iraqi government accuse you of running the death squads against Shia pilgrims, officials and securities. What's your official reaction to that?
Thank you very much for this interview. In fact, I could say there is no crime case. There is a political case. And all these confessions, in fact, is being extracted under severe torturing, and one of my guards being killed, more missing, and unfortunately, in fact, I didn't receive any sort of fair trial as being written in the Constitution. Therefore, I obliged to go and address the United Nations and NGOs to look after my case, in fact, and I'm really sorry for the tragedy. My guards still under custody time being.
And you say this is a political case against you.
That's right.
What do you mean by that? Are you saying a vendetta, or what?
Well, the problem in fact, there is no. The judicial system has already lost its neutrality and lost its independence, and becoming just an instrument in the hand of the Prime Minister, Mr. Maliki, in fact, who has a committee very close to the circle surrounding him. This committee, in fact, is fabricating files against the active politicians in Iraq, like myself. I am all the time, in fact, seen, in fact, and being very much known as one of the most active advocate to national security, to the human rights, to the stability, to non-interference of neighboring countries, and I all the time, in fact, being seen as an opposition to Al-Maliki, and this is why he fabricating this case and presented to the judicial system for.
So you're saying the case is made up against you, basically?
It's totally being fabricated.
Is this a Sunni-Shia conflict, or
well, part of
is
it,
any,
yes. Part
any
of
Kurdish
it,
involvement as well?
Part of it, yes. In fact, partially, yes.
It's only partially?
Partially, because I belong to Al-Iraqi. Al-Iraqi is non-sectarian political entity, and as you're fully aware, even the chairman, the leader of Al-Iraqi is a Shia, Zayed Alawi, is not a Sunni, for instance. But regardless of that, in fact, part of my targeting, political targeting, is because my position within my community. It's if you check thousands of innocent people behind bars, you would. It's more than 90% of them belong to the Sunni communities. So the Sunni are in real tragedy as far as Iraq is concerned.
So once again, you're returning to the fact that you're being persecuted, in your words, for your political views, not your sort of religious views.
I said partially. I didn't say that exclusively. So I am one of the political activists advocating and opposing to Al-Maliki policy, but at the same time, in fact, the political motivation is partially, in fact, because I belong to the Sunni community as well.
Okay. Every month this year, there have been coordinated attacks in Iraq using car bombs, mortars, gunfire. Do you think it's linked to this political crisis, you'd call it a political crisis, between Iraq, Shiite, Sunni and Kurdish?
Whether we like it or not, in fact, that the ongoing violence is just a reflection of a fragile political situation of Iraq, in fact. There is no doubt, in fact.
Why should it reflect a fragile political situation?
Well, there is no stability, in fact. So now, if the politicians are not thinking in one line, they don't have a unified vision, in fact, to run the country, in fact. This means we are leaving loopholes in our political system to terrorists, in fact, to penetrate and to target the innocent people, in fact.
Do you say there are terrorists behind the attacks?
Well, I don't have the clue. The only one who could tell what's going on is the Prime Minister, who is monopolizing the management of the security file. He is not allowing any party, any politicians, any political entities to participate in this file. He is alone. Who should have, in fact, the explanation of these ongoing attacks. But being the chief in command, he should be in a position to protect all the people, all the innocent people. He is not. This is a continuous failure of his administration.
Okay.
And time comes for the parliament, in fact, to interrogate him and to question him about this tragedy that the innocent people paying the cost because of his failure.
I want to widen this to the region, because you can't have a discussion about any one country on its own in this region. You have to think about the region. Regional powers play a major part in the crisis. And I'm talking about the implications for the Syrian conflict. And why is there so much support for President Assad?
Well, support from whom? From Iraq, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, sectarian dimension is behind, in fact. And
so it comes back to Sunni Shia.
That's right, yeah. There is no doubt about it. If you just trace a statement done by al-Maliki since he was in power 2006 until just recently, in fact. Before 1 year, in fact, all the car bombs, all the suicide bombers, all the violence, in fact, he attributed to Syria. And then all of a sudden he changed, in fact, and tried to clean up the image of Syrian and try to advocate them. Why he changed his policy, why he changed his tone on that? There must be some sort of reason.
Very briefly, how is Syria going to end?
Well, by using the international community, to get the international community more engaged, and using power to protect the innocent people from this ongoing tragedy of Bashar al-Assad.
And we've been reporting on Al Jazeera the last few days about the numbers of refugees coming from Syria into Lebanon. What kind of impact are they going to have in the country?
Well, there must be some sort of consequences, in fact. And but if we are talking about the changes that has been expected, in fact, in Iraq, I could say, in fact, the changes that is going to take place in Iraq is irrelevant to what happened now in Syria. The second phase of the Arab Spring is still waiting since the 9th of April 2003. What happened in 2003, that we fulfill the first phase, toppling down Saddam Hussein regime, but we failed, in fact, to replace the substituted regime, which we are dreaming for. Since that time, since 2003, we are still dreaming, and the mission is not being fulfilled. So irrelevant to what's going to happen in Syria, and whatever the consequences might be, and there will be a consequences, might be to speed up, to conclude the second phase of the changes. That's what we're expecting. All
right. Tariq Al Hashemi, very quickly, do you ever suspect you will never go back to Iraq?
No, I am ready, in fact, and I am just waiting my friends, in fact, to tell me when, but I am ready anytime to come back.
Anytime. Tariq Al Hashemi, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.